Okay, so who is going, how many speakers do I have in this session?
You have a Trent, and you have Carlos, and you have me. I will present in this session.
Oh, okay, that's wonderful. So 3 speakers, so you each have 20 minutes then. That's wonderful.
Yes, 10 to 15 minutes.
Yes, and so therefore,
Carlos is a 20-minute.
Carlos is a 20-minute one. Okay, so first will be Trent, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Trent then.
Okay, well, I am going to start off with a little bit of a controversial comment. And that comment is, again, along those lines of impact being for everyone. That our goal, long-term, as an organization, is actually to eliminate the term social entrepreneurship by making it redundant. That our vision of the future has no place for any business that doesn't also have a positive impact on society. That we want to create a space where A, it's much easier for the people who do have a good social impact platform to be productive and successful. And we also want to make it harder for those who don't. But to do that is going to require a lot of help from a lot of different perspectives. And it was really, really great hearing earlier about the UAE project, where they're getting the universities involved, they're getting the national government, local government, and corporations all involved, because really that's what is going to be required in order to move the needle on the venture capital space, the entire investing space. I'll circle back to that in just a second, but first I'm going to talk about impact investing. So I'm from the US, but I live in Switzerland. So, 2 of the, kind of hotbeds of the capitalist system, which has created enormous technological progress unseen previously in human history, but with a lot of side effects. So within that system, there's been a lot of things that could have gone better, a lot of missed opportunities, and a lot of it does get traced, again, to the venture capital world. That, I'll give one example, female founders. In the US, the #1 venture capital market in the world, female founders get 2% of the funding. Now, statistically speaking, in most markets, 25 to 33% of all entrepreneurs are female. So if you have 25 to 30% of the founders are female, why are they only getting 2% of the funding? Well, one big answer is sexism, straight up sexism, no beating around the bush there, that the people making the decisions about this money tend to be men. That part's also changing rapidly because a lot of people are realizing, like, wait, we probably should put some more women onto these decision-making boards of these venture capital firms if we want to actually find the best ideas. But there's other factors. One of those is that a female founder is statistically more likely to emphasize the social impact of their company from the beginning. They're less likely to have the attitude of, we're going to wait until we start making money and then we're going to figure it out. Because they're also more likely to start a business in order to solve a societal problem, rather than simply starting the business in order to make money. Now, that doesn't mean all women fit into that category, and it certainly doesn't mean that no men fit into that category. We're just talking about statistics here. So part of the massive problem with the current venture capital world is that they're just looking for profit. That is pretty much their sole criteria. Who has the most profitable idea? And frequently, even if it's not true, they have the mindset that a company that is putting energy and resources into social impact should be putting all of those efforts into profitability. So they think that, oh, okay, that's a company that actually has a great social impact platform. They're not going to be as profitable as the next one. So this is the challenge for all of us here in this ecosystem of entrepreneurial support. And it's not easy. And again, not going to happen overnight. Not trying to get anybody to, go start, a riot in the street and like change everything about that. But this is something we all need to be thinking about, because the simple fact of the matter is that any support that any of us give to any business which isn't going to have a positive impact on their society, any of that support, again, from any of us, makes it harder for those who are trying to build a sustainable business model, for those who are trying to have an impact while also turning a profit. There's lots of NGOs in the world that have non-financial business models that are dependent on grants and donations. There's absolutely a need for that. But there's an even greater need, especially as we move forward and we start to engage all the different sectors of society, for the ones who are passionate enough, smart enough, and dedicated enough to create a company that does both. So again, I'm going to actually cut my part a little bit short because there might be some questions here, but I'm just going to reiterate that any support that any of us give to a company which isn't doing good in the world makes it harder for those companies which are.
You didn't use up all your time, Trent. This is very much unlike you. I think we will have some good questions, because one of the things that comes to my mind, what about creative destruction and the destruction of it and unintended consequences, that you may think you're doing good and you end up not doing so good, that these are issues that are many times you innovate something and you think it's going to be great, and then lo and behold, it isn't. And one of the things that I like to relate, because I'm going to take a moment of your time, is when I was in India, I remember I thought microwaves were so wonderful. And I said, these wonderful things. And a friend of mine says, but do you realize that may put many of the people who are cooking out of business, because people will use a microwave. And so you have many of the people had cooks in their house, and that was all they did. And with these technologies that were coming along for the kitchen, the dishwasher and the microwave, that many of these house workers were going to be put out of work and not have any work. So there's an unintended consequence. You think you're doing well, and it turns out to have negative consequences. So I think this will be a good thing to discuss at the end. Carlos, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to share my screen because I do have a small presentation to do.
Very good.
So what I'm going to talk about is about how we can change the ecosystem, and when should we start teaching entrepreneurship. So and I was going to say something before from the presentation that just happened, but I will leave that to the end. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can do that now if you'd like.
No, I will wait, because I am a believer that companies should be for profit. But what you're going to see is more a social company that I run, but we run it for profit. So it should be a very good discussion later on. So let me tell you my story and why it's important. It will take a couple of minutes. When I was a kid, I wanted those shoes. Everybody knows Nike. So I wanted those. My father said no to me. He was a big corporate manager. He was the president for a pharmaceutical here in the island of Puerto Rico. But he said no, even though he had the money to buy it for me. So I started crying, you know the story. And he told me to, if I wanted to, those shoes, those tennis, I should open a company, right? So I started my first company. It was a lemonade stand, 9 years old. That was also my first bankruptcy. I couldn't stay for long. The lemons were out. So then I started my second company, which was delivering newspaper. After that, I had problems in school. I am a dyslexic. So I wasn't doing good at school. I did work for a company selling shoes and selling clothes when I was 16 years old. And those two owners became my mentors. They took me to their field trips and to their trade shows, so I could learn from them how they buy low and sell high. I purchased my first car. It was a convertible, and it wasn't that one. It was more a camel color, beige. So everybody will say to me that I was selling clothes in my convertible, that I was a commercial, right? But I went to university, and I did a business plan in that course. That changed my life. After doing my business plan, I decided I was going to do the business plan as my real life endeavor. What happened was I ended up working for McDonald's for 2 years, developing their stores before opening mine. So I learned a couple of things. You have to have a red light. After the light, through the right, going home, you have a McDonald's, right? So after the light, through the right, going home, I opened my first store. It was a car wash business, right? I didn't need the whole piece of land. So I started a company. I grew it up. Then I sold it about, it was 2017. I operated for 20 years almost, and sold the properties to AutoZone. But in the mean, when I purchased the property, this one specifically, I sold that property, the excess of it, to Walgreens. Before I was 30, I had in my pockets $4 million for the growth of my business. That's how I end up opening more stores, a chain of stores of the car wash. So what happened was the progress that I did from 9 years old to 25 years old. How could we get that and make it happen for kids, so when they grow up, they could be entrepreneurs? So we open up a company that it's called Yes. What we have been doing, it's we build tools and programs for youth to become entrepreneurs, and being in an island that is bankrupt. Puerto Rico went bankruptcy in 2017. Entrepreneurship now is more important than ever. Let me go this way. So when I was thinking about why presenting in Kuwait today, I look that 85% of the people of Kuwait works for the government. the economy is good, but if you want to have an entrepreneurship, an economic growth, development growth, you should go into entrepreneurship from young people. So the process of teaching entrepreneurship to kids, it's a little bit different. You have to have them experiences, develop the skills, the knowledge, and some attitudes. So what we do really is depends more on building the right mindset. And Peter Drucker says that entrepreneurship is a discipline. So we can teach kids about the discipline of entrepreneurship, which is a process. Benjamin Bloom, it's an educator, and he did a wonderful research about how to raise talented youth. And he says that to develop people or talented youth, we must expose them on an early stage. So what we should do globally is put entrepreneurship in the Department of Education. What we have done here in the island, okay, we end up making a multi-level plan for the Department of Education of Puerto Rico based on programs for making innovation, like the program Robot Makers, or teaching entrepreneurship within math. Math in this case is a subject that you can teach entrepreneurship in English or in Spanish, a language, or using the math class or science, or also having the kids having experiences, real life experiences in building a small business, a kiosk. So we do fairs for kids so they can practice in real life, real events. We do business trips to companies, right? So they can see from their first sight, from their own eyes, how companies are run. And we start really early on. This, at my left hand, these are kids from preschool that we teach them how to become entrepreneurs, or we do competitions at university level. And the last thing that we do, because I am a professor and I am a lean practitioner myself, we teach companies, biggest company in the island like Medtronics or Banco Popular, to small companies, how to become efficient with a Kaizen or lean system. What we have seen in our programs is that an idea that it's been written down, they can transform it later on. So these are real life success stories. Kids that has become entrepreneurs. And if you ask me, this is I don't know if this is going to run. It's a little bit longer, but this is what they experience. So at the end of the day, if we don't expose our youth to entrepreneurship, we won't have a big funnel to fill with entrepreneurs. That's my presentation.
How long have you been having this organization? How long have you been working on this?
22 years, and we have developed over 60 games. So the entrepreneurs about teaching entrepreneurship.
That is just wonderful. The young students look so enthusiastic and so excited to
It is.
go forward. Did you want to make a comment on Trent's presentation before we go to Dr. Hanadi?
Yes, I think in social entrepreneurship, we as we build a company, just for one reason, and it's adding value to the customer, whoever the customer is. So if we take out that part, whatever we do, we have to focus on the customer at the end of the day. We have to focus on building a profit so our company is sustained through the years. And there is no more best benefit of a social benefit than having employees well paid, well treated. So what else can we do as an entrepreneur that is not social responsible, from giving a transportation to taking a person to from one place to another with a car, or that we have to build the car better and don't pollute? Yes, but we cannot think that we should be social entrepreneurs without having a profit. You know, profit is the gasoline that keeps a company growing. And the best thing for a company to grow is that they will give more employment, which is good for the people. So that was my main concern.
Okay, I thank you. Hanadi, are you available now? Woo. I'm trying to see. Hanadi, are you available now?
Yes. Who will be presenting in behalf of me now? There are a new speaker. It's Musa, Professor Musa. He will present about the AI. He will joining us. But Mr. Carlos should be presenting 20 minutes. We're waiting also 10 minutes extra.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone. I am Musa Sweden from Lebanon. I want to talk about AI program and how to implement AI program and robotics program in our country. We are a small company now. From 6 years, we are working to have our program in Lebanon. So I want to share with you my small presentation about how we implement artificial intelligence program and STEAM education inside a small curriculum to implement in Lebanon. Okay, I am sharing with you a screen. You show it. Okay. We are a small company in Lebanon, a startup company. We are implementing AI program by using robotics tools and take a spirit of STEAM education to build our robots to help students to be used in inventions and use it in schools. We are implementing this robotics in schools from KG to K-12 and in some universities. And now our student in schools or in university is inventions and implementing this projects in invention cities. Okay. And I want to show some practice happened in schools in Lebanon, what we are doing with students in Lebanon. Okay. So what happened in our schools, we help him to make projects and help a student to know what is robotic, what is artificial intelligence by using coding, by using some cards, puzzle cards. Now we are ready to help students to make inventions by using some products made in Lebanon, some tools made in Lebanon, robotics tools made in Lebanon. So our company is startup from 6 years or 7 years ago. Now we have around about 5,000 students work with us. We have about 45 schools in Lebanon work with us, and 2 universities work with us. We are helping and support students to be inventions and using AI products in his works or in his projects. And we already built curriculum. So my team working from 7 years till now, we built curriculum for schools. This curriculum can use it now. We are using now in schools in Lebanon, and this curriculum is work to make student inventions and help student to be an inventors. So, Dr. Hanadi.
Yes. Finish. Beverly. Yes. Did you finish?
Not finished. I'm speaking about our curriculum, and we are everything about this. If any questions, I can answer. No problem.
No problem at all. Okay, Professor Beverly.
You should make speaker on, microphone on.
Professor Beverly, your mic.
Yes. Yes, I unmuted it.
Can you stop share the screen, Professor Musa?
Yes, I can share it. Stopped, yes.
Beverly, I will take a few minutes, okay, and presenting my presentation. I know it's not allowed for me to presenting as a conference while I'm a conference director, but no problem at all. While we have a lack of a presenter, I will share the screen. Moment. Hi everyone, this is Dr. Hanadi Al-Mubaraki. It's a founder and CEO of Ecosystem Consultants. who is organizing this largest conference focused in economic diversification based on innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem programs. Dr. Hanadi Al-Mubaraki have a license, practitioner license in Innovation 360 degree. And also I have a license for Growth Wheel 360 degree, who is attending in the first day the Growth Wheel teams presenting several tools helping the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and who is attending yesterday also they speaking about 360 innovations and helping the inventors to use the tools and technique of 360 innovation. Dr. Hanadi Al-Mubaraki have plenty of books focus in innovations. Also, we have books focus in business incubators. My first book about procurement of international business incubator. This is, I finalized this book after my PhD dissertations done, and I published a book about the summary of my dissertations. This is a first book in the Middle East, as well as internationally, talking about business incubators program worldwide. Then I take it to the second book. It's talking, making a comparison. This book is about the best practices of business incubators programs. And I do comparison between developed and developing country. And also now this book, it's a record internationally, receiving all my roadmap written in this book, because it is only a first book through the world who is comparing developed and developing country in the programs of business incubators worldwide. And the third book, it's speaking about innovation and entrepreneurship as a powerful tool for modern knowledge economy. And this is published 2012, while now all the world is converted to knowledge economy or digitalizations, preparing as a digital economy. And the last book, it's published about the best practices of technology transfer and commercialization, about the program of the commercialization and how it's helping the inventors joining those programs to register their patents, as well as converting their inventions from patents to be commercialized to the markets, whatever, if it's a product or services. Then we're doing plenty of book in Arabic, and we have many and many. Ecosystem, based on all my previous experiences, I invest all my knowledge and experience, and I establish my consultancies, and I name it is Ecosystem Consultant in 2019. It's a young consultant. This is a little video. I need to share it just about my services. Ecosystem consultants offering three types of services: smart growth services, executive services, excellence services. The smart growth services, we are focusing about entrepreneurial ecosystem, technology transfer and commercialization, and smart and SMEs growth. The executive services, we keep providing the consultancies with special consultancies about their strategy, business strategy, executive coaching, project management, and management partnership. And the last for excellence growth, we're doing training, professional training for the companies in the market. I would like to jump about my initiative. I launched my initiative 2020 GCC Significant Initiative. This initiative consists from 4 categories. First of all, we're launching GCC and international conference, same as this conference annually. Then this conference will be continuing every year. One conference for the GCC and the second conference for the international community. The second categories of my initiative, I launching my electronic GCC Technopark journals to provide unique content for the GCC. And the third thing, we launching GCC Virtual Business Accelerator to deliver a program for the GCC and the other countries. And finally, we publish distinguished series of books focus in economic diversification. All my books is available in Amazon platform in Arabic and in English. This is in a summary format, who I am. Thank you so much for your listening.
And I know Fernando wanted to do a clap too. That's why he had his hand up. He wanted to give you an applause for that. Do we have any questions of any of the speakers? I was just going, did you have a question? You need to unmute if you want to say something, Fernando.
I am hearing you very bad. I didn't understand nothing. What you say?
You had your hand up. I was asking if you wanted to say something.
Well, from now, and it was 3 days of pleasure, 3 days of learning, 3 days of knowing new persons and knowing new technologies, new solutions. And it was amazing to see. Everyone already say the same thing. The perfect organization, the structure of the conference, the high quality of all the speakers. Very good. You know, I try to go in the world to all the major events, at least to those that I can. This year of 2022, this was undoubtedly the best event of innovation in 2002. I already did it. I will declare it as exactly what I say, the strongest initiative on our area in the world for 2022. Last one, it was in Lisbon with 127 presidents of organizations in the world. And this one was even bigger. Ours, it was physical. This one is virtual, but it's been beautiful. I'm loving it. I hope we can repeat next year. And next year, we will don't have 50 persons assisting. We will have 50,000 or more. You just have to tell me how much you want. Mm-hmm. It was our first time working together. I am very glad and I am very happy to work with Dr. Anadi. And from now, I already informed our dear colleague that I already proposed her to win, it will be next year because it takes some time, to win a very special international award that I won this year, and I already suggested to be Dr. Anadi to win next year. I already did that. And I can stay here hours talking, but I love to talk, you know, and there is so many things that if you want to make any question about what I speak before, if you want to know anything, I'm here. Just
okay.
ask.
Thank you. Carlos, do you have any more comments that you would like to make about Trent's ideas on social entrepreneurship? I was curious.
I don't understand nothing. Let me change the...
No, I'm talking to Carlos.
I don't understand. Sorry, wait a second.
Carlos, did you have any further comments?
Not really. We should be focusing not on social entrepreneurship. We should be focusing on servicing value to our customers.
Okay, that's very good. Tanani, I hope I could share a screen just a little bit of something we were talking about. Perhaps.
Go ahead.
Social entrepreneurship. And one of the things that I think today is we really need to consider innovations internally as well as externally within organizations, is that we need to develop things internally in business organizations that can reduce or eliminate waste before it's created. This is internally, which is socially responsible. And look at the impact of the environmental impact of any products we create through the entire life cycle. This goes along with what Trent was talking about, the idea that to be socially responsible, to look at how it's going to be disposed of. We have a problem now with trash in this world that is unbelievable. When I was reading the tons of waste that they are collecting from the oceans because of this plastic we have, this is one of the things that we're going to have to look at the social impact of our products in development that way. And we're going to have to look at creating a sustainable vision that where innovation for sustainability is going to be a key factor. Those were just some of the comments that I really wanted to share with you. And I think it goes along with the social entrepreneurship going along with it. Hope you don't mind me putting that in, Hanani.
Professor Beverly, I'd like to jump in if I might.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think you were asking Carlos to comment on my presentation, but I will comment on Carlos's. And I'll just, first I want to start with saying how much I totally appreciate the part about youth entrepreneurship. Absolutely, 100%. It's a major flaw with our educational system. And part of this just stems from the fact that in many regards, any system where the people making the decisions are not affected by those decisions is usually somewhat of a flawed system. So absolutely, entrepreneurship needs to become a part of the curriculum of every high school, probably every middle school, and certainly a prerequisite of every university. Like, you should not be able to graduate from university these days without some background of entrepreneurship. Even if you're not going to start a business yourself, you should gain a deep understanding of how hard it is to start that type of business. So on that page, we're 100% on the same page, that it is a critical element of any type of future healthy economy. On the other side, creating jobs and putting the customer first. There's two very well-known companies that have made a lot of money by putting the customer first. We'll take Walmart first. Walmart is one of the biggest employers in the America. Walmart is also one of the biggest job destroyers in the America. And in many cases, they have replaced several decently paying jobs with several very poor paying jobs, even to the point that the average Walmart employee is on government assistance, even if they're working full time. So just simply creating jobs, I don't think we can consider that as a virtue if they're not good jobs. And a company that does have the social responsibility as one of their core elements, that should be part of their prerequisite, is not just creating jobs, but creating good jobs. And I don't think we're really that far off on that. I'm not trying to put words into Carlos's mouth of saying that he supports a company like that. But let's also look at Amazon. Amazon has also created an enormous amount of jobs. They're not usually very good jobs. They put the customer first. They say we will exploit whoever we have to, whether it's our employees, whether it's our suppliers, whether it's the environment, whoever we have to exploit in order to keep our costs low, because we put the customer first. So it's just, we need to be, clear, and we need to be careful when we're using, this type of language, what we're actually talking about. And I'll also just address the point about absolute profitability. Absolutely. A social entrepreneur who doesn't have a business plan, that's not an entrepreneur. That's a nonprofit. That's the main difference. Even though a large part of our work is also on the nonprofit side, helping nonprofits to diversify their revenue streams by offering a good and a service. The only real difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit is where the money goes at the end of the day. Nonprofits simply mean nobody can get rich, even if the business is super successful. So social entrepreneurship is the perfect blend of both of those, that somebody who figures out a way to have a positive impact on society and creates a sustainable business model. And that's really where we see our work cut out for us, is helping to continually iterate, continually ideate, and continually figure out how any type of company can do both, so they don't have to choose. And the younger that we can get people thinking about that, the more likely, the more time they are going to have to develop their entrepreneurial brain while still being young enough to care. Because that's just another simple reality, is the older you are when you start a business, the more financial obligations you have in terms of family, in terms of a higher standard of living, the harder it's going to be in the beginning to maintain that focus on a social impact. And again, when you go out there and you're getting investors who do not share your values, that makes it extremely difficult down the road to stay true to those values. So the more all of us can do to support those entrepreneurs who do have a social mindset, as well as putting the pressure on all of the support systems for those entrepreneurs, that if we can get venture capitalists to stop investing in entrepreneurs who don't have a social impact platform, that's going to make it easier for the ones who do. So it takes both sides, and it takes a massive amount of effort and an entire community that has to get behind this concept that impact is for everyone, so that people don't have to choose between profitability and having a good impact.
Okay. Any response?
And yes, I do think that we as a person has to have responsibility. And yes, we as a manager and as a we do have responsibility through the whole system. I will not defend Walmart. They are big enough so they can defend themselves. But I will say this: how many people Walmart's employees? It's about 2.3 million people at this time. They started small, just a store in someplace in the US. I think it was Arkansas or something like that. How do you become an entrepreneur who has a global impact? And at least in Puerto Rico, Walmart is in Puerto Rico. Many companies buys in their stores, the Sam's Club stores. How many companies are developed through their system? Yes, they are doing a purchase in their stores. So we have to look at this more in a perspective of how we can co-collaborate, how the companies make best use of their resources without damaging the environment. That is true for a small company that pays a minimum wage, or a big company that pays a little bit more than a minimum wage and give less hours. So I think we have to be very careful about what is social impact and how we define social impact in a whole. Because for me, social impact is being responsible with. I used to operate car washes. When I started my company, we decided to not use water that it was drinkable to wash a car, which is a piece of metal or plastic. So our stores were made that our roof was a big water recipient, and we use rainwater. We have a lot of rain in the island, and we can use that before opening the consumable water for people. And that was a responsible thing for us to do. And yes, we started at the end of the day using soap that it was better for the environment. And that was more a business decision. It was a little bit expensive, but at the end of the day, we wanted to be careful with the environment that we are in. But it was more a social responsibility from the people that were working at the company. Not the company itself, but we as servicing for our customer better. We started using recycled oil, and it was a big hit to our bottom line, because people will not like to use oil in their cars. So we had to go back to the main companies and buy them the not recycled oil. So the market, at the end of the day, you have to take care of them. If your customer doesn't want recycled oil, what I'm going to do? I'm going to close down my stores and not do don't have employment for them.
Or you get together a coalition of every car wash and every dealership in your city and say, none of us are going to keep using the worst oil. We're all going to get slowly better. 5% recycled oil, 10%. There's always a balance. There's always a little bit more we can do. And yeah, our system's not about any individual or any single company trying to do everything themselves. It's all about coalition building. It's all about awareness raising. It's all about long-term planning, and just saying, if any of us are complacent, it's going to make it easier for all of us to become complacent. If any of us are vigilant, and if we push, and if we explore, and if we ask these tough questions, then there's the opportunity arises for progress to be made. And because, I mean, if you look back at so many things that are now commonplace, or let's look at the other side, unthinkable now, that 50 years ago were commonplace. Very few of those happened overnight from one day to the next. Most of them happened because somebody took that first step. Somebody created a business model that was going after that and doing it. I mean, you take the environmental movement in the 1970s in the US as a perfect example. They were protesting and protesting and protesting and protesting and protesting. And guess what? They just weren't making a difference. And then a few of them said, well, why don't we just start some businesses? And you had some really great businesses come out of those 70s and early 80s that today, Patagonia, they're like, oh, well, if we can't get the corporations to care more, let's start our own corporation that has that value, and let's market our values. Sure, let's market our goods and services, but let's also market our values. Let's tell people what we stand for. And in the early days, you bought Patagonia, even though it was more expensive, because of their values. So, the textbooks are littered with plenty of examples about companies going this way. Salesforce is another great example. Now, they didn't succeed necessarily because of their values. They succeeded because they had a good business model and they had a good product. But they really set the standard for other businesses with their 1%, 1%, 1% model. And they could have gone even further. And I hope that now they're like, oh yeah, we're big enough. Let's double it. Let's give 2% of our profits to the thing. Let's provide even more services for nonprofits. But they're right there is a perfect example of the things that a typical small business can do. Support the nonprofits in your area. Go out of your way to find a way. Sit down with them. Ideate with them. Find out how you can help them. If you don't want to do the work yourself, just find the ways that you can support the ones who are doing the work.
I think that in addition, there was Tom Shoes, which is another one that gives a pair of shoes for each one you buy, which is going along with it. I think there were a lot of businesses were started in the second part of the last part of last century that have really taken the environment and social issues under their wings and made an issue of it. Carlos?
And yes. I would like to add something about when you said that about being socially responsible, but being socially responsible at the end of the day. Let's take for a moment the solar industry, right? That you put in the roof of on top of the roofs.
The solar, yes. Mm-hmm.
Solar panels.
Solar panels.
Right? What's going to happen in 20 years when all those panels don't work? Who's going to recycle them, right? And I'm looking at this right now. What's going to happen in the landfills? So at the end of the day, we have to be very careful what is the social impact. We're not using oil, right? We're using the sun, but now to make the panels, they're very they damage the landfills and the places that we live. So we have to be very, very careful with that.
It may be very much like the plastic I was talking about that is polluting our oceans today.
Beverly, I wanted to jump in with one last comment about your comment right after I finished about that destructive creativity and unintended consequences. Yeah, silos. We've had massive siloing in the last 60 years of nonprofits only talking to nonprofits, corporations only talking there, except for when it was how can we give money, and the entrepreneurial ecosystem staying here, and individuals, such as everybody here in this room, or the people who aren't entrepreneurs, thinking that it's not their responsibility to come up with these solutions. If you don't engage people from outside of your silo, you're far more likely to have that unintentional consequences. So we need a lot more dialogue. We need a lot more people going outside of their comfort zone and outside of their immediate circle and engaging with people just to find out what this great idea that everybody around us who's in our ecosystem thinks is going to be amazing. Somebody's got to have a different perspective on it. Let's go out and find that as fast as we can before we go ahead and move forward. So we're all about bringing together different segments of society because we all have a lot of great ideas, but none of us have the perfect idea. I mean, any societal solution that still exists because the perfect solution hasn't been found yet.
I'm going to go with my presentation. I talked about philosophers, and they make a distinction between what is known and what one knows. And one person only knows so much as it takes the whole world to know what is known. And so I think from that, as you can see, Michael, we had a really wonderful discussion. Don't you think so, Hanadi? I think that it was a good session overall.
Yeah, great discussions reflecting the best practices from the practitioner. It's not only from the academia side.
That's correct, as everyone gave a wonderful presentation. And I'd like to thank everyone, and I'd like to thank Hanadi for allowing us to have this forum where we can exchange these ideas going along with it. And it's now time that I turn it over to Michael, and I can have some lunch. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you.